troll in the dungeon.
Hello, everybody. To our new listeners, welcome. To our old listeners, welcome back. We are the Perspective Potterheads, Jenny B and Terri T, and we are here to discuss our favorite fandoms, starting with and primarily focusing on Harry Potter content. If you like our content, like it, and if you love it, share, subscribe, and support.
Today, we will be talking about Harry Potter and the Sorcerer's Stone, Chapter 10. Halloween. And while we are going to be talking about chapter 10 today, we will also sprinkle in some stuff that happens at the end of the book, in the next book, in all 7 books that we don't even know we're going to talk about. Right. So lots and lots of spoilers ahead. The art, yes. Halloween, which if you've never read the book, you're kind of like, well, what's that? But because we have read the book, we know it's a troll.
Yes. It's really, this picture is really a little bit less how I imagine him in my head, but it does a great representation of how they actually describe him, though. I don't imagine him as hairy as they are. Like, they almost look like spider legs, the way his arms are. But it does say that his arms are like so long that they almost drag on the floor.
Mm-hmm.
So, and I kind of thought that was like one of the different distinguishing factors between a troll and a giant. But then also they have those horns on their feet. And I mean, and like, look, and it's just so disproportionate how wide his bottom is versus like the top of his head.
And I also think like giants might be taller.
Well, yeah, probably. I know Hagrid's only a half giant and Grop is relatively small for his.
And he's 16 feet, whereas
and they said the troll is 12 feet.
Yeah.
So he's probably about the size of Hagrid, I would think. Because didn't we say Hagrid's about 10 to 12 feet?
Mm-hmm. So I actually noted the description of the troll. Because I had planned on, it's a little further down in my notes, but I had planned on talking about this, like, because I love the descriptors. Like, she does a fantastic job of painting that mental picture for me. And so it was a horrible sight. 12 feet tall. Its skin was a dull granite gray. Its great lumpy body like a boulder, with its small bald head perched on top like a coconut. It had short legs, thick as tree trunks, with flat, horny feet. The smell coming from it was incredible. It was holding a huge wooden club, which dragged along the floor because its arms were so long. So it just gives you this like excellent descriptor, like things that I know what a tree trunk is. I know what a coconut is. Like, I can picture those items.
And it does, like, they did a great job of bringing that to life in this little picture here. Illustrations by Mary Grandpre. It's got the accent on it, so I want to say it's pronounced A at the end, but I'm not sure. Anyway, Mary did a great job with the illustrations for the chapters.
Yes.
So we start this chapter, and Malfoy's surprised that he's still seeing Harry, and Harry and Ron are all excited about this adventure, and they're keen to have another one. I'm like, you just came face to face with a 3-headed dog, and you're like, I want some more of that in my life.
Again.
Nuts. They're nuts.
Yes. And I like how they're trying to like piece this together. Like, so Harry fills Ron in on this little package that was taken from Gringotts, and they're, suspecting that this came from the vault that was
robbed.
That was attempted to be robbed. Yeah. Which I think in the movie they spell that out. They say that the vault in question was 713, but they do not in the book. Like, there's inferences and we kind of assume, but we don't know for sure.
Right.
But it was emptied. So we've got a pretty good indication. So they boil it down to this package. This little package is about 2 inches big. So it's big.
Yeah.
Itty bitty. And they have decided that it is either really valuable or really dangerous.
Or both.
Or both.
Yeah. And they try to talk to Neville and Hermione about it, because it says that neither one of them are interested. So, and it's weird because like they don't really care for Hermione too much. But so it seems like she's just kind of like, doesn't want to discuss it. And I feel like this would probably have been a very decent time for her to have joined their group. Like, I know that we gotta like some more of the story comes along, but it's like that seems like a pretty interesting thing. Like, if they were to tell her, and if she does start getting intrigued by it, like that seems like a very natural flow, versus at the end of the chapter, to me, it just seems for me, this seems like the better part of them, getting into some trouble, and they come out of it, and then she helps them solve these things and the clues and whatever, versus, oh no, we got to get her into another situation and then they have to like her. Well, can't they like her because she's just brilliant and she can help them solve these things? No.
They're 11-year-old boys. They can't like her. I think it is interesting. And I know I believe it's book 6, when Harry's trying to figure out the room requirement and trying to get in after Malfoy. And he says he's angry. He says, because if Hermione wanted to help me, she would actually be valuable and helpful. And same thing in this situation. I think Hermione would arguably be very helpful, but she's not interested.
Yeah.
I think they think it's a bonus that she's not speaking to them, though. They even said that, like, that's their bonus.
Yeah.
But now they're the next thought that occurs to them is we have to get back at Malfoy.
Yeah.
And they do. Which I think this is, we get to see a little Harry sass in this interaction. So Harry gets this parcel and everybody's looking like, what's that? That's big. Ooh.
And okay, so with the parcel arriving, why, like, McGonagall sends the note, don't open this at the table. So obviously she doesn't want people to know that it's there.
But everybody just watched him get it. And it's like, what is in this long, thin package?
Right. Why couldn't she have it delivered at another time or to another location? And then it made me start thinking about.
And her give it to him.
Yeah. So then it made me start thinking about the owl post in general, because how do all of the owls arrive at the same time every day if they've got letters coming from different places? Like, do they have to hold on to them at the owlery until it's time to deliver the mail at the certain time?
Well, we know like Pigwidgeon delivers an owl. Like, Harry's gotten owls at other times.
Yeah, but it's but most of the owls arrive during this time.
I don't know. So. Owls, magic. It's magic. I'll go with my general responses. It's magic.
But owls are magical. If she wanted to keep it a secret, because he does get deliveries at different times, then she should have sent it at a different time.
Yeah. And so Malfoy's waiting for him in the entrance hall.
And he feels the package and he knows it's a broomstick just through the wrapper, which means if you could feel it,
you could probably just see it.
Yeah. Like in the movies, you can look at that grubby package and know it's a broomstick without feeling it. Yeah. Like, and that's always kind of driven me crazy in the movies. It's like, duh, how does nobody else know that? Like, just by looking at it. It's pretty obvious.
And I like that Malfoy's like jealous, but then he's like, I'm gonna get you in trouble. He's like, Professor, first teacher that walks past, Professor, come here. And it's Flitwick. And Flitwick's like, oh yes, Professor McGonagall told me it's a special circumstance. I hear it's a Nimbus 2000. Like, I like Professor Flitwick. He just seems like this really happy individual.
Now, could you imagine if it wasn't Flitwick, if it was Snape walking by, though? Like, he probably would have taken points off because he's showboating the broom around or something. So, so we do get Harry sass there because he's like, and it's thanks to Malfoy that we've got it.
Yep.
And then Hermione, I think this is where she breaks her silence, right?
Yeah, you think that's a reward for breaking the rules?
She's right, though.
It is.
He is yet to be punished or face any negative consequence for any of breaking the rules, and he's broken the rules twice now in one day, and one of them he's rewarded for it.
Exactly.
So, yeah. It doesn't help him learn his lessons and if anything, it sets the pace for how he's treated the rest of school.
He does get special treatment.
He does.
And arguably, like, he's working for it, like, it's like that greater good. Is he like he's working to defeat bad guys, so he doesn't deserve to get punished, but he like they even say in the next book, Dumbledore even says, I said that if you broke more rules, you were going to be expelled.
Yeah.
But instead, we're going to give you all like 400 points and this award for special services to the school. Great job.
Yeah.
And same thing here. Like, they get
into Quidditch. This is not saving the world from Voldemort. This is flying on a broom to win your, like, have the house cup. It's different.
McGonagall, and they say that McGonagall was a Quidditch player and that she is very like, go Gryffindor team.
Yeah.
So, but then now, speaking of Quidditch, we get the breakdown of the rules of Quidditch for the first full out rules, and they will repeat them multiple times throughout the multiple books.
Yeah. And they repeat them multiple times in here too. So Wood's telling them, okay, here's the quaffle. And you have to get it through the hoops. Okay, the quaffle goes through the hoops. Then these are the bludgers. Okay, so the quaffle goes through the hoops, and then the beaters hit the bludger, and you're the keeper. And they repeat it several times, and I'm just like, ugh. I don't like it's. I've already heard enough of the Quidditch, and like the thing is this is the time to actually get into it, and it makes sense for Harry to repeat it, to retain it. Then we have to hear it again in every other book at the beginning of it, and which luckily I think by 4 they stopped
doing that, which I think it's interesting because I think by the time you get to 4, like, you could not just pick up the book and read it without having, like, you'd be like, what the heck is going on in these? Which, I mean, if you picked up book 2, yeah, you'd miss some things, but
like the
you could read book
Quidditch
2
are not the rules of Quidditch are not like fundamental things that we need to repeat and know every single time. So
in this whole conversation with Wood, I think there's some interesting things. Like, Harry's like basketball, and Wood's like, what's basketball?
Never mind.
Never mind. And then I like that Harry is he can jump on this broom, he can tackle a troll, he can not be afraid of the 3-headed dog, but those bludgers scare him.
Right.
He's like, have they ever killed anyone? Just out of curiosity, like trying to be really nonchalant about it. And he's like, no, just a couple of broken jaws. And I'm going, the mom in me is like, yeah. But they also let them play Quidditch in like lightning storms. So let's fly around on brooms while it's lightning and thundering.
So
you're not allowed to play t-ball while it's lightning and thundering, but we can fly around on brooms.
Do you think that even if you're not on the Quidditch team, that you're allowed to own a broom and fly around the pitch?
I don't know. I would assume so. Like
as long as there's not practice or games, like I don't see. And even then, it's like, does flying on a broom have to just be contained on the Quidditch pitch, or can you fly in other places?
Yes, you can, because Ron brings his broom before he's on the Quidditch team.
But doesn't he go to the Quidditch pitch to practice while nobody else is there?
Yep.
Okay.
So you can.
But then why doesn't anybody else do that? Like, you would think flying would be one of those things that everybody absolutely loves and would want to.
It's interesting. I don't think it plays into the story. I know Crumb talks about that they do that a lot at Durmstrang. Yeah. They just fly when the weather's nice. They fly around all the time because they have very large grounds.
One of the other things too is like they list all of these people, and I think when Wood says the longest Quidditch game was 3 months and they had to keep bringing on subs, but none of these, like, it's like high school, like Hogwarts Quidditch teams have any subs. So
I don't think it was a Hogwarts game that lasted that long.
But I'm just saying, like wouldn't it make sense, like if professional leagues have substitutes, why wouldn't Hogwarts have any substitutes? And like when Harry is a captain, like, and something happens to Ron and Katie and all them, like he has to ask other people, well, can you substitute for them for the next game? But they don't go to practice. Like
Mhm.
even when
Until
we
they
have,
need to.
yeah, what I mean, you would think that they would need to know what's gonna
Yeah.
like strategies and stuff like that, just in case. You never know what's gonna happen.
Especially at Hogwarts.
Yeah,
Because like
and if
they say at the end of this book, they lose the Quidditch Cup because they don't have a sub for Harry, which I don't understand. They said it was like their worst defeat in so many years, like it was really bad. But realistically, they shouldn't have lost by more than the snitch.
right,
Because Harry being gone did not impact. They have 3 fantastic chasers who do a good job.
Mhm.
Like, and Wood is an excellent keeper. So why they arguably could have won just on their
or if Wood would have just had any substitute, like any, even if it wasn't somebody who practices with them like they should be practicing, which that surprises me that Wood wouldn't have that as much as he's, you know, so involved in it, yeah, and gung-ho to think of anything that could happen. But still, like not even a backup, like not even anybody to just have on standby.
It doesn't make any sense.
Right, it doesn't. So they're practicing, and then they practice with golf balls.
I know he doesn't know what basketball is, but they've got a bunch of golf balls, which makes absolutely no sense to me. I had that kind of like, I'm like, golf balls? Question mark.
Yeah, I was like, do wizards play golf? Like, is there no magical golf ball sized equivalent? Because like we have gobstones, which are pretty much marbles.
Mhm.
So I would think that they'd have something magical that's not just not golf balls, but. And like there's so much packed into this.
I know
section.
this like interaction. There's so many things that like are just like trigger like. What?
So we also have the snitch, which used to be, or which used to be the golden snitch. It used to be a bird. I don't know. That just randomly popped into my head. But the snitches themselves, they have the flesh memories. And we learn that in book 7. So it's like, and so I don't know that she was actually thinking about this at this time, because when they do practice with the snitch, like,
I'm kind of thinking they have like practice balls and then they have game balls.
Okay. Yeah.
That would kind of be my thing.
That's just
like,
one of the things that kind of
James keeps the snitch after games. So the snitch flies around the common room at one time or another. They like, and when they win, because Crookshanks chases it in a later book. So I see that, like, I think that there's a game set of balls and a practice set. Would be my thoughts. So 2 more Weasley comments. One, Wood compares the Weasley twins to the Bludgers, and so they're like human Bludgers themselves, which I love. Rocketing around and just causing as much mayhem and chaos as possible. That just,
yeah, that's so them.
That's them.
Yeah.
So, and then this is where we get he's going to be better than Charlie. Yes.
And Charlie could have played for England if he hadn't gone off chasing dragons.
Exactly.
It's amazing that everybody later is surprised that Ginny is good, because she does have Charlie and Fred and George, and then even Ron to an extent.
Yeah.
So why are they surprised?
Play Quidditch at all?
And why wouldn't Ginny have played Quidditch with them out in the fields instead of secretly taking their brooms?
They didn't let her. It says, like, we never let her play with us. Poor Ginny. Like, could you imagine?
I mean, I suppose probably because she's a girl and they didn't want to be too rough with her. Even then, though, like, I mean, they play with girls on the teams.
Yeah,
like,
I don't know.
all the time. So
I just think because she's the baby.
Yeah.
So I think that's about everything I have on the Quidditch side of things.
Yes.
So the next thing is that their lessons are becoming more interesting and things are starting to really ramp up. Harry's got Quidditch practice 3 times a week. The lessons are getting harder. And it's like, it's been 2 months. Wow. And he says Hogwarts feels more like home than Privet Drive ever did, which that's a repeating theme. Yeah. Harry is at home in the castle. This is his favorite place.
So they focus in on a charms class in this one. And this is one of the things that has always driven me crazy when Flitwick is talking about swish and flick. Remember, swish and flick, and saying the magic words properly is very important too. Never forget Wizard Barufo, who said S instead of F and found himself on the floor with a buffalo on his chest. Okay, now I would think that you would say F instead of S to end up with a buffalo, because otherwise you're getting a bussalo. Like, so that has always driven me crazy. It should be S.
I don't know that it has to do with, like, I don't think it's the actual, like, I don't think buffalo is the word. I think it's whatever the incantation was.
Well, I'm that's what I'm saying, is that shouldn't it be, if he ends up with a buffalo on his chest, then he would have said buffalo instead of, like, wouldn't that have been saying F instead of S instead of S instead of F? It's just one of those things that in my mind,
it might be Latin.
He says it wrong, but I don't know. Yeah, I don't know the Latin word for buffalo.
Me either. If they even had a Latin word for buffalo, because
right, because were there buffalo in?
I think so.
I don't think so either. So
swish and flick. I don't have an actual wand. I just have a pencil.
Yeah.
Swish and flick. So get the whole nice. And they've been practicing this movement.
Yes.
Because he says, remember that nice wrist movement we've been practicing?
So you'd think that they'd all be pretty good at it if you're practicing. Instead of, like, Seamus is prodding at it, and I think like Ron is too. So, but
we're also talking about 11.
No, Ron is waving his long arms like a windmill. Like, how do you not?
How is this so hard?
And it's arms, so it's got to be both of them. Wingardium Leviosa! How do you even mess up that bad? And like Seamus, Wingardium Leviosa! Like, as I know it's Seamus that prods it, because it catches fire.
Yeah.
Which makes me think, because in the movies, it's always Seamus is the one catching fire. And so when he's with Harry, the feather catches fire, but he was also the one that was with Neville when their cauldron catches fire. So I think that it's, that it is Seamus during these whole times, even though Neville got the blame by Snape.
Yeah.
We know that Snape is unfair in things. I'm pretty sure that it was Seamus who was who's the fire starter in all of these things.
Swish and flick. Hermione's like, no, you're doing it wrong. You're doing it wrong. And I think she wants to be helpful.
Yes.
She's trying to tell Ron, like, no, you got to make your gar nice and long.
So there was one time, my friend Beck and I were training another family advocate, and we were trying to be as helpful as we could. And it's like this and like that. And she kept rolling her eyes at us. And we're like, what's the deal? And she's like, you guys are really condescending. Now, this girl was like very upfront. So I don't think most people would actually say that to our to your face. But she actually said that. And we're like, are we? Like, we weren't meaning to be, but apparently that's how we were coming across. So we had to be aware of, like, let's change the way that we talk to other people. And
I cannot see the two of you being condescending,
if somebody were to, instead of just saying, if somebody were to calmly and gently talk to Hermione about, sometimes the way you come across is a bit, and she might already know it, but at the same time, because Ron even says she's got to know that
she doesn't have any friends.
Yeah.
So Hermione is so upset by this. She's a nightmare. She has to realize she doesn't have any friends.
Yeah.
She misses her next class. Hermione misses class. She's so upset.
And I don't think she misses class for any other reason aside from when she falls asleep in the third book with the time turner, right? She gets really upset in Trelawney's and she skips a class there.
She punches Malfoy.
Yeah.
She misses class when she becomes a cat or half cat.
Yes.
But she does all her schoolwork.
Yeah.
Oh, and she misses class a couple of times, because she misses class when she gets the bubotuber pus on her hands, and when Malfoy messes with her teeth.
Yeah. Okay. So aside from
It's mostly Malfoy's fault that she misses
Yeah.
class.
so
Every other time this time it's Ron's, but every other time it's Malfoy's fault.
Aside from any time that she's had like some sort of illness or injury to her, like she's only missed class twice for emotional reasons, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
So and the one is when she's just so overwhelmed with everything going on with Malfoy and the time turner and stuff, and then this time
I couldn't imagine, like, I can't keep a normal 24-hour day straight. Can you imagine trying to like repeat several hours in your day and try to like, you can't see yourself, so you have to like plan this. I don't have that kind of mental energy.
No.
So she's still crying in the bathroom when it's time for the Halloween feast,
which they have live bats at, by the way. And I would think that you would run into the same problem as the Ministry did when they used live owls, and that was droppings everywhere.
No.
So you got to imagine those bats flying above your food. Ugh.
I do like bats, though. Bats are cute. I think they look like
bats
chihuahuas.
are cute.
They look like chihuahuas with wings. They're so cute.
I've seen some videos where like people have like their bats as pets because they're, get wounded in the wild or whatever, and they have to nurse them back to health. And they're just so cute and cuddly looking, and they're just so adorable, and makes me want to pet that. But I don't like birds. So
I probably wouldn't like that. I don't like anything.
So I probably wouldn't. But they look adorable.
I like my chickens because they don't really fly. Like they can't like fly over my head.
Yeah.
Make me nervous. I love like wild birds though. I like to like watch them, and I love like love birds of prey, owls, hawks, falcons, eagles. We had nest pair of bald eagles fly overhead last weekend. It was beautiful. Loved it. Because at first I thought the female, because I could see her first, and she was all dark, and I was like, are those buzzards? Are those turkey vultures? And Evelyn goes, no, mom, look, it's the eagle. And you could see his white head. And I was like, oh my gosh, it's Mama. Aww. We very rarely see Mama. So I was extremely pleased to see her. Anyway, so we've got these live bats fluttering overhead. Maybe there's like a magical barrier.
I would think there has to be.
Fingers crossed. Nobody wants bat droppings in their food. And the feast has just appeared. Harry's going to take a baked potato. He likes baked potatoes. He's taken baked potatoes on more than one occasion.
Yeah.
He's reaching for his baked potato. And in comes Professor Quirrell running. His turban is askew. And there's a troll. Troll in the dungeon. And then he faints.
Mm-hmm.
I love that Quirrell faints. He must be a good actor because he didn't really faint. He fake fainted.
Right. Well, I mean, he's got to be a good actor. He's been stuttering all year long, and keeping that up.
Before stuttering, Professor Quirrell.
It's amazing. Every time I see like somebody who does like these undercover works as pretending to be somebody else, for as long as they do it, like they're brilliant actors. Like what Snape does for, I mean,
Snape, Moody, Crouch.
Yeah, Crouch. Like now Quirrell, and I can't think of. We'll probably come up with them as we see them later, but like there's so many that it's like, holy cow, how?
Yeah.
Like
you got like Hermione who can't pretend to be Bellatrix for the space of like an hour.
Yeah.
Some people I think are just good at that, and some people aren't. I am not.
Most of them, it seems like they are the Slytherins. That are, I mean, I don't know what Quirrell was before he turned to the dark side. So, but Quirrell, Snape, Crouch, I assume are all Slytherins. So maybe there's something to that. Slytherins just have a naturally embedded thing of good acting.
Ambition.
Yeah.
Ambition can take you a long way. So Professor Dumbledore explodes some firecrackers. Purple firecrackers, to be exact, because again, I like to note the colors. The Wizarding World is very colorful, and I like that.
Yeah, lots of purples, lots of greens.
And he's like, prefects, we're going to put these 15-year-olds in charge. Prefects, lead your houses back to the dormitory. And Percy's like, oh, Don't worry, you don't have to be afraid of the troll. I'll take care of you.
Right. And then it mentioned somewhere about like there being a confused Hufflepuff. And I can understand that because Hufflepuffs and Slytherins have their dormitories in the dungeon where the troll is. So yeah, that's a brilliant idea. Go to your dormitories. Hopefully you don't see the troll on the way. Good luck with that 15-year-old prefix. And so we're talking about
send
prefix.
the Slytherins back down there. Go ahead, yeah. Slytherins.
And so we're talking about like the prefix too, but like we're like nobody mentions like the head boy, head girl. Shouldn't they be leading?
Well, it would depend on what house they're in. They may not have the head boy or head girl in their house because there's only one of each.
Yeah. Oh, I thought it was for like a head boy, head girl for each.
I think it's just one.
Okay, that makes sense then. So do you think that this troll is the same troll that was supposed to be guarding the stone, but maybe somehow got out, and then they replace him with the other troll that they put down there later?
No, because that troll is bigger. Yes, we decided that I think it's definitely a different troll. Mm-hmm. Definitely a different troll. Because I think they make the comment that they're really glad that one was already knocked out because he was bigger.
Yeah. I just wasn't sure if that was his, like, it was his job, but since he got out, then they were like, well, we're firing that troll, or because he's knocked out, obvious by some first years, we need to replace him with a bigger troll.
I hadn't thought about that. But the other thing is like, who let this troll in? Who has a gift with trolls?
Well, see, that's why I thought it was that troll that was guarding the stone, because he would have already been there, just escaped from where he was supposed to be.
But
because
that wouldn't have made
just dim
much
and he
sense,
might have just wandered
Quirrell
around.
Have known that troll was supposed to be there, and then wouldn't he have like gone up to him like, "Hey, the troll escaped"? I don't. Yeah. Nothing like the fact that there is no suspicion cast on Quirrell about this troll. That's Ron's true. Suspicion is that it was probably Peeves.
Yeah, which is a good guess. But you know what? That does bring up a good point, because when they talk about it later and they say that certain professors did certain things to help out, and that was Quirrell's, because Quirrell was supposed to have a good affinity with trolls. So why couldn't he? And why would he faint? Yeah, that should.
And why did they not say, who let the troll in?
But you know what? Maybe because when we get a look into Snape's memories later, we see a clip of Dumbledore saying to him, "Keep an eye on Quirrell, will you?" So maybe that happened after this, because this might have been the thing that raised his suspicion.
Possibly.
And because now Snape goes to the third floor and he sees Quirrell there, because Quirrell comes down with, I'm assuming because when Snape, McGonagall, and Quirrell are the ones who come to the bathroom when they hear all those noises.
And okay, so here's point one with this. One is, why is nobody suspecting Quirrell to begin with? Point two, why is Snape not telling Dumbledore, hey, he was headed to the third floor corridor while you guys were all chasing down that troll? Like, shouldn't you have done something about it sooner? Quirrell wants the stone, clearly. Like, even if they don't know Voldemort's involved, like, why is there not a bigger deal about this?
Right. So they suspect Quirrell, unless he has a good, unless he makes up some good reasons and tells Dumbledore these elaborate lies, which he's obviously good at fooling people because of all of his other things that he's so far. But it probably leaves him suspicious, but not enough to the point where he's going to do anything about it yet. So I also have a theory about maybe, let's go back to where we were with the troll, and then we'll get there when we get to that page or to that section.
In another thing with being good actors, when they get to the bathroom, Snape has had his leg chewed on by a 3-headed dog, and he's acting completely normal.
Yes.
Like, we know this later, but we're like, so he is like acting completely normal. So they're gonna go tell Hermione, because she doesn't know there's a troll. And I love how Ron, his only thing is, don't let Percy catch us.
But the craziest thing is if he just tells Percy, we're missing a student. like Percy would.
To what we talked about last time, there's not a whole lot of supervision for these kids.
I know. And they are only 11. So like their common sense is totally not there. We see that in the next book, big time, when it's like, our parents, where are they? We can't just wait by the car. We might as well drive it.
Yes. Well, and the other thing, like nobody notices if a student is missing. These classes are not very big, but Ginny goes missing multiple times throughout the next book.
Yeah.
And how does nobody go, haven't seen Ginny anywhere for the past hour. Ginny didn't come to the Halloween feast, but like nobody misses these kids if they're not where they need to be. Like even when Hermione misses class, like wouldn't a teacher go, where's Hermione?
Mm-hmm.
So they're running to the bathroom and they're like, oh, someone's coming here, duck behind this. And they're like, Ron's like, it's Percy. He knows we're missing. No, it's Snape. And they ask, why isn't he down in the dungeons?
Mm-hmm. He's such a good red herring.
Mm-hmm. Because we don't see Quirrell, but we see Snape.
Yes. And so they're on their way to get her from the bathroom, but how do they know what bathroom she's in? There's so many bathrooms.
Which bathroom is she in? Did Pavarti because they said that Pavarti said that she was crying in the bathroom. Just maybe she like specified the bathroom on the second floor.
Gestured. Yeah.
But yeah, I wondered that too. Like, how do they know which bathroom she's in?
Yeah.
And how do they not know that the door they just locked was the bathroom? Like, if they knew where they were going.
And why is there a key in the lock to begin with? Because then anybody could have Peeves could have locked her in.
Right?
If the key is on the outside, or just any student pulling a prank.
But then if you're smart enough and you have your wand, she'd be able to get herself out. But anyway. So they've locked Hermione in with this troll.
Yes.
And they're like, well, we got to go save her because that's what they do.
Yeah.
So they truck it back there, unlock the door. And I mean, the troll's knocking the sinks off the wall. I'm going. And then Hermione's just petrified. She doesn't know what to do.
Mm-hmm.
So Harry's genius idea is to confuse it. So they're throwing things and running around and just making all sorts of noise. Well, then the troll, like, it's like a wild animal. You've just made a bunch of noise, thrown a bunch of things at it. You've made it really mad.
Mm-hmm.
So it starts it wrong. And this describes Harry. He did something very brave and very stupid.
Yes.
I'm like, that is the description of Harry's life. Very brave, but very stupid.
Yeah.
Interesting in language, it's very brave and very stupid, and not very brave, but very stupid. Does not negate the bravery.
Yes.
Is both.
Yeah, you can be two things. That's, and that's a big thing in life too, is that because a lot of times we do say like, you're this, but no, you can be both things. Two things can be true at the same time, even if they negate each other.
Like, I love you and you're making me crazy. It's probably one of my favorite ones, even though I know give away your power when you say you're making me crazy. Mm-hmm. There are four littles in this house. They make me crazy. And I love them. So Harry jumps up on the back of this troll, which he must be an amazing athlete because this troll's 12 feet tall and he launches himself and gets his arms around its neck.
He's got some adrenaline, or maybe he steps on like a toilet and gets some
or maybe that little bit of like magical leap, like magic without meaning to, kind of thing. And he sticks his wand up its nose. So now he's like riding this troll around the bathroom.
Yeah. And Hermione, she just like sinks to the floor in fright. Now, the weird thing about Hermione here, and it's totally normal, like the fight, flight, freeze thing, she is frozen. She does not know what to do. And normally like those are just embedded in us. Those are just how we react. And it's not like, no matter how much you practice them, that's usually just going to be your automatic trigger of you're going to do one of those things. And yet this, I like, off the top of my head, I cannot think. And even when I was reading this, I was trying to rack my brain about any other time that she freezes. Most of the time she is that fights back, and she's very skilled with the wand and knowing what comes next.
Do you think it might also be because she was already really upset?
Maybe she's like already in that emotional state, so it dropped her down even more, and so therefore she was stuck there and couldn't figure it out. It's like most of the time she's in her executive state and is able to think of things to do. But then like she does, I don't know, it's like it's not a full-on freeze like she is now, but when they get into Devil's Snare, she does have like a brain fart. Yeah, she panics. So either that or like over the summer, because she's like, well, now that I'm hanging out with Ron and Harry, I better work on that.
Yeah, because they tend to get her in a lot of these situations.
Yeah. And then Ron, so he comes to the rescue. He pulls out his wand and doesn't even know what he's going to do. But the first thing that comes to him, and he masters it. Which
sometimes I think, have you ever been trying to do something really, really hard, and then the minute you kind of relax, you're like, oh, okay, this happened.
Pickle jars.
I'm not fluent in any languages, especially not anymore. I don't even come close. Like I can say hi, that's it. But I had been studying French in college, but I'm always like, I can read languages, I can understand languages, but I have a really hard time speaking because I get like
same
in my own head.
Yeah.
So we had stayed late. We were living in Italy. We'd stayed late because we were catching a later flight because we were flying to France instead of flying home. We were going to Paris for a week. And one of the brothers came into the room and he spoke French. And I was able to sit up. I was sleeping. I sat bolt upright and I was able to tell him, we're taking a later flight. Fratello Mario is going to take us. And I like rambled out this jumbled mess of French, but because I didn't overthink it. And he understood me well enough.
Yeah.
So again, like in this situation, like he didn't have time to overthink it. So he was able to do it.
I do that sometimes with pickle jars. Like when I'm like cooking and stuff and I'm in a rush and I'm trying to, or tomato, like, and I'm like struggling with it and I'm like, I really need this to work and it's not working. And then I'll go back to it when I'm calmer and just.
So he just didn't overthink it.
Yeah.
He knocks it out with his own. And luckily this troll falls forward or sideways instead of backwards. Because if it had fallen backwards, Harry would have been smooshed.
Oh, he would have magically jumped off at the last second because Harry's Harry.
Yes.
Surprised that it didn't fall backwards to make him more dramatic.
But that's more movie Harry. Rowling does a pretty good job of making Harry kind of blunder his way through things.
Yeah, that's true.
Sometimes he has some really great moments and sometimes
not so much.
Not so much.
Yeah. This is why I really like book Harry so much more, because movie Harry is very heroic
and perfect.
You know, like he's perfect hero.
Greek hero.
Yeah. Like, but the books, he's more down to earth, accidental hero.
So they're making an enormous amount of noise.
Right. Without even realizing it.
And of course, McGonagall's on it. You know that she's like, I hear something, and I bet you it's my students, because it usually is. Because again, back to my argument, Gryffindors lack their impulse control. So if any students had gone off looking for the troll, so McGonagall's probably already got like an ear out. She's like listening, like, I know something bad is probably going to happen.
She's also the deputy headmistress. So if Dumbledore had to stay in the basement looking for this troll, then she would be the second one on hand for secondary things.
And then, of course, Snape comes running in because he's already up there. And Quirrell right behind him, who is very scared of this troll.
Yes. Yeah, he lets out a faint whisper and sits down quickly on the toilet, clutching his heart.
McGonagall's question, because, you know, the first thing you do when you've got children misbehaving is ask them, why are you doing this?
Yes.
Why are you not in your dormitory? And Harry and Ron are just kind of like, I don't know.
Right. Now, the truth would not be so horrible. You know, we realized that Hermione didn't know. We went back to tell her the troll was here, or we heard the troll in here. But you know, we knew Hermione was locked in with the troll, so we went to save her, and there was nobody around. We had to do something. Like, that would not have been a horrible explanation, and it would have been the truth or something similar to the truth. Instead,
but Hermione jumps in and lies. Like, she has to protect them.
Yeah, because they protected her.
And I like when Hermione says this. I love when Rowling like gives us these little nuggets of like description. It was if like Snape's face is something about like if he was handing out sweets because he was so excited, and I think I wrote it wrong. Let's see. It was as if Snape had started handing out sweets. Like, he's so excited. Hermione's in trouble. Ha 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 ha. Like, grow up. But and then I like how, like, okay, so Hermione loses 5 points.
Yes.
So and McGonagall sends her off. And then she turns and looks at Harry and Ron and says, well, I think you were just lucky.
Right.
Which in truth, it is. Like, they were very lucky.
Yeah, that's what she says. You were lucky. Not many first years could have taken on a full-grown mountain troll. You each win Gryffindor 5 points. Professor Dumbledore will be informed of this. You may go. That part about Dumbledore being informed, this is where I think when she informs Dumbledore, this is where he decides that he is going to give Harry that chance to face him at the end. That's my key turning point in all of this. And that was the thing earlier where I said, we're going to wait till we get there. And that's it. Because, and I don't remember what we were talking about earlier, like trolls or whatever, but now that he sees he could take on a troll, that he knows, I wonder if he could get through those other obstacles, and I'm going to let him try, because it's after this that he decides he's going to give him the cloak. He could have just at the beginning of the year said, here's the cloak, Harry, but no, he's like, I'm going to wait. Once he actually sees what Harry's capable of, he decides he'll give it to him.
It wouldn't make for a very good story, but I think Dumbledore is incredibly reckless. He's 11. He's 11.
He also knows, or at least suspects, that Harry is a Horcrux. So even though he wants Harry to, like, he wants to breed Harry to kind of be the chosen one, he might also think, well, if this is Voldemort, then maybe this is the time for him to face it. He doesn't know when is the right time. So maybe, or how many Horcruxes there are. So he might think if Harry sees him, that either Voldemort will destroy the Horcrux in Harry if he's defeating Harry, or Harry will defeat Voldemort and thus fulfill the prophecy.
But he can't defeat Voldemort until the Horcruxes have all been destroyed. So I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know either. So, but maybe that's what Dumbledore's kind of playing with at this, because he might not have all the pieces, because he doesn't necessarily know how many
Does Dumbledore know about
the
Horcruxes yet? Because he says that, like, when he's telling Harry about that, like, you brought me proof.
Yes, I think he suspects it, but he doesn't have the proof until he gets that, and then he doesn't even know how many until the 6th book when we get that memory from Slughorn. And
then the end.
Yes. They're back in the common room. Percy doesn't even know that he's lost his little brother, or Harry, or Hermione. So everyone's just enjoying the rest of their feast, and Hermione's the only one who's waiting for him.
Yeah. And I like how they, like, don't look at each other, and they're like, thanks. Yeah. Because they're 11, and
it's awkward.
It's awkward.
Yeah.
But from that moment on, Hermione Granger became their friend. And it is true. Like, once you go through something with someone, it solidifies friendship.
But they already went through the 3-headed dog thing. Like, you know, like.
I don't think Hermione had the right attitude about the three-headed dog. There was this was all your fault. You got me into this trouble. I'm mad at you.
For me, it just seems, for me, it doesn't click as much as it should. I don't know. That's just me, though.
I feel like the whole chapter, that was about building up that friendship.
Yeah.
And they still, it's not perfect. They bicker a lot, especially Ron and Hermione.
Yeah.
There's a lot of bickering. There's a big chunk of third year that they are not friends.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know.
Yeah, my notes actually aren't in this, are saying it's just a little womp womp. I didn't know how to spell that, so but yeah, I drew the face and everything. Just womp womp. But yeah, I feel like it just could have been better, but also these are the times I remember it's a kid's story.
Mm-hmm.
So
it is. It's written for children, which is phenomenal. We're over halfway done.
We are. I know.
My poor book. It's in such bad shape. Someday when I don't have children, I'm going to buy a nice box set with hardcovers.
And at least 18 years.
Yeah, but my children are probably going to read these. So
yeah. Mine'll get there when Luna starts looking at the books. A little tear in the spine, but since I normally do the audiobooks, the books themselves are okay. Speaking of audiobooks, there are a few differences aside from the ones that we normally get post and mail. Pitch and field. So that's a big one.
Interestingly, again, I think as you get further into the series, they leave that.
Yeah. So when I was in high school, I played soccer, and we had a soccer camp one year, and we had somebody who was I think he was on a British soccer team. I have no idea though, because I don't really follow soccer. But anyway, so this British soccer player was over here, and that was when I learned, because he called the field the pitch. Mm-hmm. So we started calling it the pitch because that's how he referred to it, and it was cool speaking English, British English, and that's when we learned the difference between keeper versus goalie as well. Mm-hmm. And so we started calling our goalie the keeper. And all I really remember aside from that is just anytime somebody missed, he'd be like, "Oh, unlucky." So I don't know. He was fun. I liked him. I don't know who he was though. But anyway, getting back onto it. So the audiobooks, again, we have lesson versus class, football versus soccer. When they're talking about the beater's bat, Harry says it looks like a baseball bat in the books, but in the audiobooks, it's a rounder's bat. I don't know what a rounder is. I'm assuming cricket because that's
not a sport we play in the United States. I think I would like to learn how to play cricket just because it'd be different.
Yeah. Anyway. There's a couple weird things. I knew how to play croquet at one point, and I think bocce ball. There's some really random things I've played before. What's that one with the little birdie that's tennis?
Badminton.
Yeah. I've played so badminton. Very obscure, not very American types of games, but I think they're fun.
These aren't fun here. Yeah. Nobody plays them.
We should play them. We should start some obscure clubs. Temper versus mood, toilets versus bathroom, and Harry's baked potato is a jacket potato. So that's all. There weren't too many differences this time, and no major ones that changed the story. What was the chapter where they left
was a whole sentence missing?
Yeah, they left out Dean Thomas or somebody getting sorted. That's our perspective. Let us know yours in the comments below. Before we go, we would like to thank our editor Alan, our families, our listeners, and remember to share, subscribe, and support. Until next time, stay safe, keep faith. Good night.